This month's podcasts are sponsored by Aubergine Legal. Do you sometimes worry that your business isn't meeting all its legal compliance requirements and wonder if you're ticking all the legal boxes? Are you losing sleep worrying about a piece of legislation that you may or may not be complying with? Perhaps you need some help with your client contracts or your data protection compliance. Or maybe you're worried that your website doesn't have the right documents or legal notices in the right place. Perhaps you have a brand that you want to protect with a trademark. How about if you could outsource it all and eliminate all of your worries? If so, then get in touch with Aubergine Legal, a friendly commercial legal consultancy offering practical and clear commercial legal advice without the overwhelming legal jargon, taking the worry away and helping you to protect your business and minimise your risks. Aubergine offers a free 30-minute consultation if you have any questions or want to find out if they can help, and you can access this link and book your free 30-minute call via the link in the show notes. Welcome to the Bring Your Product Idea to Life podcast. This is the podcast for you if you're getting started selling products or if you'd like to create your own product to sell. I'm Vicky Weinberg, a product creation coach and Amazon expert. Every week I share friendly, practical advice as well as inspirational stories from small businesses. Let's get started. Hello, today I'm speaking with Kate from Time For Me Teas. Kate helps women to make time for themselves by nourishing and rejuvenating their mind and body while sipping on organic, loose-leaf herbal tea blends, which are not only beneficial, but taste great too. I learned so much about tea from talking to Kate. Hopefully you will do too. It was fascinating. I am not sure I'm ever going to buy herbal tea bags from the supermarket again, if I'm honest. I also don't know how to make the perfect cup of tea, which, I found really interesting. Kate's background is as a herbalist and she knows so much about herbs. She knows about what's good for us, what isn't good for us. And she also explained how she has some pharmacy experience as well and how that all ties together. Kate, as you will hear, is super knowledgeable and passionate about all things tea and herbalism, if that's the right word. This is a really great conversation. I really feel like Kate's enthusiasm and passion comes through, and I really hope you enjoy listening to this as much as I enjoyed talking to Kate. So hi Kate, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're really welcome. So can we please start by you giving an introduction to yourself, your business and what you sell?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Kate. My business is called Time For Me Teas, and I create organic loose leaf herbal tea blends which are designed to nourish and rejuvenate your body, mind and soul.
Amazing, thank you. And am I right in thinking you actually blend your own teas? Is that
I do.
Correct?
Yes, I'm a herbalist and I create all my own tea blends, from scratch.
And were you a herbalist before you started creating your teas, or is
yes.
That?
Yeah, I So I have a chronic illness. I have ME. I've had it since 1995. And my doctors didn't know how to treat me, so I went down the natural route. I was already a aromatherapist at that point. Actually, I just started training to do aromatherapy at that point. And so I wanted to find ways to heal myself naturally. And I ended up going to university to become a herbalist, and that was back in 2007 that I qualified. But it's only really after I had my kids that I set up my tea business.
Amazing, thank you. So what was the inspiration for you setting up your tea business?
Well, it was a particularly challenging day as a mum. It was just on holidays and it was really horrendous weather, and the children were bored, they couldn't go out and play. They were quite young at that point. They were about my youngest was about 7. About 7 or 8. And it was just like, Mum, I'm hungry, Mum, I couldn't get a moment's peace to myself. And I was just thinking, I know I need to calm myself down because otherwise I'm going to start shouting at the kids, and that never works anyway if you're trying to shout at the kids. So I plonked them in front of the TV, as mums do when we're desperate, and gave them some food. And I said, look, Mum I need just 5 minutes peace to myself. Just let me have 5 minutes peace. And so I wanted something just to really try and calm my body down, and I just found being very, very, all the energies up in my head. And so I think, I'll make myself a cup of tea. So I went to what I call my home apothecary, with all my jars of my herbs, and I was looking at what herbs would work well to just try and calm my mind down. And so I picked a bit of this and a bit of that, and then I made a cup of tea, and I sat down and I took the first sip, and I felt my whole body just relax. And I thought, oh, that went way faster than I expected that to. And so that was the birth of my first tea blend, which is called Serenity, which I still sell in my shop now. And then I passed it on to my best friend and my sisters, and I said, here, try this, can you tell me what you think? And they just loved it. They were raving about it. And then they kept pestering me for about a year to actually say, you got to sell this, you got to sell this. I'm thinking like, yeah, well, I'll get around to it. It's like, just put it on the back burner. And eventually I launched it in November 2019. And I was amazed by how well it sold, actually. I was at a craft fair and it sold really well. Yeah, I was really surprised. And by then I had 4 other tea blends as well that I created during the year before. So that's how my tea business started, really. It's from trying to be a mum to try and calm myself down in the stressful moment.
That's amazing. Thank you for explaining that. And yeah, I'm always impressed by people who make things, themselves. You actually make your tea by hand. What I'd like to know, and I don't know if this is an easy question to answer or not, because I don't know much about it, but how do you create a blend of tea that does what you need it to do and tastes nice as well? Because that's quite a balance, isn't it?
It is, because most people think of herbal teas as being really bitter or really green, as in green as in the taste, not necessarily as green tea. So that was kind of what I wanted to do. Was my goal was to create teas that taste great, which are good for you, because you're not going to drink a tea if it doesn't taste nice. And it's not. So it may well be that somebody says, "Oh yes, have this tea. It's full of dandelion leaf and dandelion root, and maybe it's a bit of licorice." But people will think like, "Oh my god, that tastes foul. How I know it's good for me, but oh no, I can't drink it." So, because I also have problems with kind of like sour and bitter taste as well, I wanted to help my health. And so I think, well, I've got to make it taste nice, otherwise I won't even drink it. So it's getting the ratios right with the herbs, and then knowing which herbs synergistically work well together, which also complement each other with the healing properties as well. So even though 2 herbs may taste really great together, they could have completely opposite benefits. So one could be really stimulating, and the other could be really relaxing. And if you take them together, it tastes nice, but your body is there going, are we trying to relax or are we trying to wake up? And so it was kind of looking at all different herbs and working out, okay, those are all nervines, so I know they work well together. These are great for anti-inflammatories, they work together. And then it's trying to then add in something else that will maybe, sometimes you still want a little bit of that bitter taste because it's going to stimulate something in the body to actually help it to heal and support it. But you don't want it so bitter that you won't want to drink it. So very often I'll add in something like lemon balm, because lemon balm is a great herb. It's nice and sweet, but it's also refreshing. And most people like the taste of lemon balm because it's not too citrusy, because it's not really a citrus anyway. It's just a lemon flavoured plant, and it's part of the mint family actually. So it's a fine balance of working out kind of, firstly, what kind of tea do I want to make? What benefit do I want this tea to have? And then what herbs are going to work well together and which herbs are going to taste great together as well. And then I test them on my family and then see which ones get a thumbs up and which ones get a thumbs down. And my youngest is autistic, so if they like my tea, then usually that one ends up a bestseller, which I've found actually in the past. It's been really great. But yes, that's my sort of formula, I suppose, behind the creation of my teas, is trying to just work out. And again, it's just the ratios. If you put too much of one herb in, not enough of another, then you can tip the taste completely. Sometimes I can nail a blend. I have an idea of a blend in my mind. Sometimes I'll nail it first time, the first tasting. And other times it will take me 10 or 12 goes and I still haven't got it right. And I just put it back to one side going, okay, right, we'll scrap that one. We'll work on a different one and we'll go back to that and see if I can try and tweak it again. I've got a couple which I'm struggling with trying to get the taste right. But generally, most of them I can get within the first or second sort of tasting to actually get it tasting really lovely, but also feeling that it's actually doing something good in my body at the same time.
Yeah, that must be a lot of, well, in some cases, a bit of trial and error. And I guess, are you having to write this all down as well? Because I suppose if you do find something that works, you've then got to be able to do it again.
I what I did. Yeah, I've done that before, and I have to go, oh, that's brilliant. Thinking, oh, hang on a minute, I can't remember how much of that herb I put into it. Did I put half a scoop or a full scoop? And I'm thinking, oh no, then you're going to try and make it again, and then try and get it right again. So sometimes I do forget to write it down, but I'm getting better now at writing down, or even it's just on my phone, on the notes of my phone, so I'm in the kitchen, just blending it all. Sometimes I do forget.
Oh, I think you've just paused, Kate. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you, yes. I can hear you.
Okay.
It's my internet.
Don't worry. I will just, I'm just making a note at how far in we are, and it's fine. We can get it edited out. So it was a good time. You were at the end of a sentence. I was going to ask another question. So don't worry at all.
Cool.
So you've spoken a little bit about different herbs having different benefits. So what are some of the benefits we can get from herbal teas? Because I'll be honest, as you alluded to earlier, I kind of like the idea of herbal tea. And I do have one that I've found that I sort of can take to, which is like a calming bedtime one. But in general, a lot of them don't taste that nice. I'm talking about supermarket bought tea.
Yeah.
They don't always taste that nice. And I'm not even really sure what I'm taking it for. So there's not even that incentive. But your teas are obviously different because you've created them for a reason. They're designed to do something. So what are some of the benefits? And you can talk specifically about your teas if you'd like to. So what are some of the benefits of herbal teas?
Well, the benefits mainly of herbal teas is that the different herbs, because your body recognises them as a supporting tool, they will be more absorbed into the body and actually get to the right areas of the body to help with various ailments. And the problem we have with supermarket teas is that they are usually ground up into such a fine powder, or what I call herbal dust, is that there's not really any flavour left in the actual herb. Because the majority of the time, probably like 99% of the time, it's tea bags when you buy at the supermarket. And so I call it herbal dust because when the herbs are broken down and they're crushed up, the actual cells that contain the tastes and the smells, like essential oils, are broken up to a point where they actually all evaporate off. There's no actual taste left in the herb itself. Which is why very often many supermarket blends will have flavourings added to the teas to make them more palatable, so you'd actually want to drink them. But there isn't actually any healing benefit left in those herbs at all. So the difference with my teas is that because I try and keep all the herbs as whole as possible. With a couple of my tea blends, I have lemon verbena, and it's actually the whole leaf. You actually see it in the tea tin. It's a whole leaf inside the tea tin. I do kind of sometimes break them up a bit, otherwise we end up with all lemon verbena and nothing else because it just takes up so much volume of the tin. But it's still very much as whole as possible. And because it's as whole as possible, you're going to get the full flavour from that herb. Because it's just like if you picked a herb from the garden and popped it into a mug and poured on hot water, then you would get all of the flavour from that leaf would be in that cup of tea because of the surface area of the whole leaf. So I do try and keep my herbs as whole as possible, and I think that is really how I get the best tasting teas because I've kept them as whole as possible. But the specific benefits, my best-selling blends are Amber's Rose Tea, which is actually named after my youngest child. They, because as mentioned, they're autistic, and they came to me and they wanted a blend that would help to calm them down when they're feeling overwhelmed, and like as though they felt triggered, they were about to have a meltdown, because luckily they can recognise when they're getting really overwhelmed and overstimulated. And they said, "Oh, can I make a tea blend?" And I went, "Yes, of course. What do you want to do?" I said, "Well, can I have rose?" And I said, "Yes, that's great. Have rose. What would you like to go with it?" She said, "Well, can I have lemon balm?" And I said, "Yeah, that's a great combination." So we made up the blend for her, and she loved it. And then a few days later, she said, "Can I have a cup of my tea?" And I said, "Yes, of course." I made a cup of her tea, because I could see that she was overstimulated, and always on the verge of a meltdown. And within 20 minutes, she came back, and she was like a different person. She was calmer, she was more focused, and I was absolutely amazed by how quickly that worked, even on her. And I mean, I know that the benefits of rose and lemon balm are very much that lemon balm is a nervine, which means it helps support your nervous system. It helps with stress relief. It helps to calm. It kind of helps to regulate your nervous system. So, excuse me, when you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling anxious and you're feeling just a bit panicky, it just helps to just calm your nervous system right down, so you just feel more in control of your body and more in control of your emotions, and you just feel calmer generally in your body and more able to focus and actually, actually continue with your day and continue with the tasks that you want to do. And rose is brilliant because it's also nervine, but it's a slightly even it's more. Some say it's bitter, some say it's sweet. It really depends on the rose that's used. The one that I use is Rosa Damascena, which is damask rose, but it's more of an emotional well-being herb. It will help you with self-love. It will help you with self-worth and confidence, and it kind of gives you that more sort of uplifting your mood, and a lemon balm also uplifts your mood as well. So it really helps you to feel more in control, feel more able to actually complete things, and more able to the confidence to be able to do something. But it's a really lovely one to help when you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed, and you feel that everything's on top of you, and you actually can't see the wood for the trees. That kind of moment when we all experience that at some point or other. But it's a really lovely one, and it's also one that you can take every day as well. So all my teas generally are ones you can take every day. The only ones I'll say probably you don't take long term are the ones that have maybe the echinacea in them, which is actually a blend I've got coming out soon. Because some herbs, you're better off just taking it for a couple of weeks, so your body doesn't get used to it and starts relying on it too much, and then you can have a break, that kind of thing. But so lemon balm is probably the one that's in most of my blends, actually, because it's such a great herb to really calm the nervous system down. And we all, in this kind of day, this society, especially nowadays, everyone is so stressed and so overwhelmed by everything they have to do, especially as a small business owner as well, when we wear all the hats in our business and we're trying to do everything at once and getting overwhelmed with everything at once. It's having something that can support our bodies to actually feel that we can actually cope better in our life and feel happier and calmer, but also more uplifted and able to move forwards rather than feeling overwhelmed and then wanting to give up.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I see what you mean about supermarket teas as well. I mean, one thing that I've noticed, if you look on the back of the box and you look at the ingredients, there's quite a lot of ingredients, whereas I would assume that teas like made by yourself have just got the herbs that are in the tea.
Exactly.
So that must make a difference as well, because I know that I've in the past, got some mint out of the garden and poured hot water on it, for example, and that tastes a lot different to a mint tea bag.
Yes, a lot different. Yeah, because you've got the essential oils that are still in the fresh leaf. You taste that first, and you just don't taste that in a tea bag. Supermarket tea. I mean, obviously there are some supermarket tea blends which are a better value, a better quality herb. But majority of the ones, they've been crushed up so finely that there's not really much taste left. And also another thing which actually was pointed out to me recently, which I've forgotten about, you don't know how long ago those herbs were just sitting on the shelf before they were made into tea bags. So you don't know the shelf. Maybe the shelf life of a tea bag is maybe like a year or something, but you don't know how long that herb was sitting around before they even processed it and packed it into tea bags. Whereas all my herbs, I do small batches, and for my orders, I make to order. But when I'm doing farmers markets, I'll make up small batches because I know roughly how many I'll probably sell at a fair or farmers market. So I just have enough stock just for that fair, and I'll make up fresh for the next one. So because I buy my herbs in bulk, but not a huge amount, only like about 1 kilogram at a time. And then it means that I can have a good turnaround of the herbs, keep them as fresh as possible. And then there's always at least a year or 2 years expiry date on my tea blends. And you can, even ones that I've literally made like even 2 or 3 years ago, are still going strong because they still smell really strong in the tin. And if you can smell them, then you know that they're still viable to drink. If there's no smell at all, then there's no point. There's no herbal benefit there at all, because if you can't smell anything at all, then they're not going to do anything. You're better off just putting them on the compost bin instead.
Oh, that's good advice. Thank you. That's really interesting to know. Yeah, that's really useful, because I was about to ask you that. I was about to say, well, how do we know whenever they're okay? But it's great that they still have. I was expecting that you were going to say that your teas had a much shorter shelf life than that, bearing in mind that they're so fresh. So that's really interesting. So I guess if they're kept sealed in the tin, they're going to last.
They do, yeah. Other difference between supermarket blends and mine is that when you make a cup of tea with a tea bag, and very often people will pour on boiling water onto the herb. And actually that's the worst thing you can do is actually pour boiling water onto a herb, because what happens is that it scalds the herb. So the high temperature, when it's like a rolling boil, you've just literally, the kettle is just turned off and you pour it straight into the cup. Because it's a higher temperature, it will pull out all the bitter flavours from the herbs first. So that's why people very often don't like herbal teas, because it's too bitter. Don't like it, it's too bitter. It's because the water's been too hot. So I put it on the side of my tin, the perfect temperature water to add to the herbs, which tends to be about 95 degrees Celsius, which basically is just boiled water. So you boil the kettle and you wait till all the bubbles have died down first, and then that just slightly drops the temperature. And that slight drop in temperature, when you then pour it over your herbs, it pulls out the full flavour of the herbs and not just the bitter flavours. So then you get a much more rounder taste of the tea blend. So you pull out it, and it will give out the lovely richness of the sweetness and the floral or the citrus. And then it actually makes it a much nicer drink. And when I've been at fairs, I love it. It's my favourite part actually of fairs, is when you have somebody approach you going, "Oh no, I don't like herbal teas," and I say, "Well, would you like to try a sample?" And they go, "Oh, I don't know, I don't really like them." So, but just give it a go. I mean, I'm not going to say you're going to like it, but you might be surprised. And probably about 8 times out of 10, they will try it. So going, "Oh, actually, that's quite nice." I didn't think herbal tea can taste that nice. And especially when people with the rose, because not everyone likes rose, and they say, "Oh, it's too floral. It reminds me of Granny's perfume," and that kind of thing. And they will take a sample of my Elvis rose tea, and they go, "Oh, actually, that's not too floral at all. That's sweet, and that's quite nice. Why is that sweeter than normal?" Is it? Well, because the lemon balm will offset the sweetness, the floral taste of the rose, but you're still getting the benefits of the rose and the lemon balm. And so I really love converting people at fairs and farmers markets, especially the complete skeptics going, "I will not drink herbal tea." I will think, "Oh, actually, I quite like that one. Okay, I'll buy a tin." So so that's great fun. And then this is educating people on how to actually infuse the perfect cup of tea. Is to get that temperature right of the water, and that is probably the greatest tip. And you can still do that with tea bags, but the trouble is because they are in the tea bag, they haven't got a lot of room really to infuse, to move around in the tea bag, even with these lovely pyramid tea bags that are supposed to give more room to infuse. Because you're still trying to get to the barrier of the tea bag, you're still not going to get the full flavour of the herb inside. So I don't recommend putting my tea in tea bags at all. What I recommend is using, well, the ideal scenario is a teapot with a strainer, but that's not always practical. And even today, I've got my travel mug with my tea blend inside, which has got an infuser inside the travel mug. So a stainless steel infuser, which I sell those on my website as well, and the travel mugs actually, is probably the easiest way to make a cup of loose leaf herbal tea, which will still have the benefits and also the really lovely taste. But again, the tip is that hot water, and using hot water and not boiling water.
That's so helpful. That's such a good tip. Thank you. I love as well that you mentioned you sell these other things now around your tea as well, because that makes so much sense. Because of course, someone coming to your website to buy your teas might say, oh, but how will I actually make it? So I think I noticed that on your shop, you had a few tea, I don't know what you call them, tea making items. And I thought that was really, really smart to sell things that complement your products.
Yeah, I wanted to make it as easy as possible for people to make the switch over from normal tea bags or normal tea to herbal tea. And I was just kind of thinking, okay, and it's everything. I mean, everything's there apart from the water and the kettle, pretty much. I also sell mugs as well. It's not that I've got so many mugs, but I still can't resist a pretty mug or pretty teacup. But yeah, so I wanted to, even at farmers markets when I sell, and also at fairs, I will have the tea infusers there, and they will say, oh, which is the best one? And I'll say, well, the mug infusers are the best ones because they have a finer, it's not mesh, because the meshy ones, like the really wiry ones, like you used to be able to get years ago, which you still can get, aren't great, because a lot will still fall through the mesh. And they're difficult to clean as well. But the stainless steel ones that I have are more of a sort of a finer grain. I'm not sure it's the right word, but they're not as huge holes in them as some of them can be as well. And they were actually really easy to clean. I'm actually quite surprised by how easy they are to clean. So just trying to make it, because I built the business really as a mum, and also I was initially kind of promoting to other mothers, like my sisters, my friends. I wanted to try and make it as easy and as fast to create it and take around with you, because we haven't got much time as mums or business owners. You want something that's like, you just want to make a tea and take it off with you, and not have to faff around with a teapot and a strainer very often. But when you do have the time, it is really lovely to use a teapot and a strainer, because that you get probably the best tasting tea with a teapot. But it's not always practical. As I say, I very often would just use my travel mug even when I'm at home. It's just easy just to grab and take it up and put on my desk.
That makes sense. And I really like the fact, as I say, that you've made it so easy for people by selling not just your teas, but the things that people will need to enjoy your teas. So let's talk a little bit about that, sort of how you went about setting up as a business, because you mentioned you were trying your teas on friends and family first of all. How did you go from that to, I know you mentioned markets as well, going to craft markets, but from that to having a business, having a website? Let's talk a bit about that.
Well, I've been a holistic therapist since 1998. And I originally trained as a aromatherapist and reflexologist and massage therapist. And then during that, also having Emmy as well, I was wanting to know more about other ways that I can help myself and other people as well. And having children that kind of put paid to my practice, because the spare room that was my therapy room became the kids' room. So I needed to find other ways to make money, which didn't involve having clients coming to the home, because there wasn't any space to have people at home anymore. So I was working in a therapy centre for a little while, but then that ended. My youngest started school actually, and so I wanted to have a business where I could work around the kids easily to fit in with the school hours as well. So my husband's also self-employed; he's a photographer, And so we do a lot of fairs together sort of over the years. And before I did my tea business, I actually had a business selling children's clothes. I used to actually make children's clothes. I used to tie-dye clothes and for my kids and then sell them as well. But I wanted something that was just a little bit less time constraining, because obviously making clothes, I still love making clothes, but it takes a long time to make dresses and tops and things. And I wanted something that was just a lot easier, being a mum of kids that were growing up. So I initially opened an Etsy store in January 2020, and because I'm not very tech savvy, so I've been trying to build a website for years and not really done very well with it. And so I thought, okay, let's just jump on the Etsy wagon and then just open an Etsy store and see what happens. And I had one sale, I think, in February 2020, and that was it. And I'm thinking, like, I don't know, maybe I'm not doing the right thing. Maybe I'm not meant to be doing this after all. So you start getting like the doubting Dora in your mind, and yeah, almost thinking like giving up. And then, of course, then the pandemic hit, and I suddenly realised how useful it was actually to have an Etsy store. And I started joining more groups on Instagram, kind of like selling groups on Instagram and like selling pages. And we were doing online fairs when we were on lockdown. There wasn't anything else to do but shop online. And so I joined a few selling pages on Instagram, and we started doing online fairs. And I started just having people promote me on their pages, and trying to talk more about the teas and talk more about the herbs. And then as on that, like the one walk a day we were allowed to do during the beginning of lockdown, I was then doing herb walks in my local area, because like how far can I walk in this my one walk a day? And I managed to work out I could do like a mile loop in my local area with the dog. And as I was on my dog walk, I was discovering all of these herbs growing in my hedgerows, which I had no idea were there. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I didn't know we had that growing here. That's amazing. Oh, I can forage this and I can make something from this. So I was sharing that on my Instagram, and that got more sort of interest in my account. And then I had more people going to my Etsy shop, and my Etsy shop was actually really picked up from about April onwards until about Christmas that year. So I was really built my confidence up, going, oh my God, people actually want my teas, and people are raving about it, and I'm getting very reviews from them. And I've only ever had, it feels like I'm bragging, and I don't like bragging, but I've only had 5-star reviews on my Etsy shop, which has been amazing. Which I haven't had many sales now, so now most people go to my website. But from that, I thought, okay, well, and then I thought, well, maybe I should now try and create my own website, because I want to have more creative control over what I put up, and then also not so many fees to pay like you get on Etsy, which is a great starting point. And I still have an Etsy shop because some people obviously prefer that. But by building my website, I felt I had a bit more creative expression, and I could then put my blog on there as well. But then, of course, when it got to everything started going back to normal, at the beginning of 2021. Yeah, it's 2021. Yeah, it's 2021. After like that January lockdown we had as well, I discovered a farmers market in my local area, and I applied for a place, and I got a place, and I've been there ever since. And actually, every month this has got better and better at the farmers market, because I was able to be there in person and give advice and that kind of thing. So that's kind of how the tea business started, in that sense of actually trying to build from strength to strength. And now, as a kind of from that as well, I get lots of feedback. I have regular customers now that buy my teas every month, which I love, which is brilliant. And you get to have a good chat with them. And they say, oh, I don't know, this is really working, but can I try something different? And then I can say, okay, yeah, what do you want to do? Do you want to do this or this? And I love that interaction I get at a fair or market, really being able to problem solve what somebody is going through and what they need support with. So kind of that's the part of the business I absolutely love the most. Is actually they come and go, they see the whole range on a stand, and they're going, oh my goodness, it's so pretty, but which one do I choose? And then I can say, well, what benefits are you looking for? Are you looking to calm yourself down? Are you looking to wake yourself up? Are you looking for help with maybe your digestive problems? And I get a lot of people who ask me mainly about help with sleep and help with like IBS and that kind of thing. And while I'm not allowed to say that, oh, this herb will definitely help with IBS, because that's making a claim, which we're not allowed to do as a herbalist, I can definitely direct them towards the tea blends that said these have been traditionally used to help support your body with this condition. So that, and if they want to research, there's so many books out there which give all the research behind the herbs and their benefits, etc. So we've gone from strength to strength in that sense, because it's built my confidence up by being able to see people face to face again. But also I've done lots of lives on Instagram with various accounts as well, and I've spoken about the herb benefits, and then and people have asked questions, or what do you recommend, and I can give my advice on that as well. But it's really is, I think it's trying to get out there and in front of people and really kind of talk about the benefits of my work. I think that's the best way I've been successful so far.
That's really interesting. Thank you. And I totally see what you mean, that the more people can learn, because I guess it's something that lots of us but I suppose we do in a way need educating on, because I wouldn't know, for example, which tea would suit me best. And having, been able to sort of speak to you and for you to explain the benefits must be so invaluable for your customers. And if that's the content you're sharing online as well, I imagine that's incredibly helpful. So I can definitely see why people are drawn to buying from you.
Yeah, it is a really fun part of it, and but it's also so much information out there that is not quite right. So it really annoys me when I see something, oh, this herb's good for this. I'm thinking, well, it is, but you've got to be careful if you're on medication, or if you're pregnant, or if you're breastfeeding. You can't actually take that. It could actually cause adverse reactions, and people don't always know that. And even like with licorice, people say, oh, I love licorice tea, and licorice tea is great and it's really good for you, but there are some if you have high blood pressure so you shouldn't drink licorice tea, because it can actually raise your blood pressure. And again, with certain herbs like hibiscus, I have a couple of blends which have hibiscus in them. And I've got a warning on my tin saying, if you're pregnant, don't drink hibiscus tea, because it is known as an emmenagogue, which means it could stimulate your uterus and cause you to go into labour early, or even threaten miscarriage if you're in the first trimester. So I'm trying to create blends that are safe for everyone, pretty much. But there's always going to be some instances where somebody shouldn't actually drink a tea containing that herb, especially if they're on certain medications or they have certain health conditions. And I always kind of ask, especially if it's, not limited to, because of a bit of a cliche, but especially if it's more of an elderly person is asking about my teas, I will very often ask them, are you taking any medication? Do you have high blood pressure or heart problems and that kind of thing? Because, I say, some of the herbs may react with the medication. And the great thing about it is, before I actually became a holistic therapist, I worked in pharmacy for 12 years. So I know all about drug interactions and the different drugs that people take for various ailments like high blood pressure and diabetes and that kind of thing. So I'm confident to actually be able to advise them on which ones they can take, which ones they should avoid, and then what alternatives are out there which I could make up a different blend for them, which will still have the desired effect or the desired taste, but it just wouldn't interact with anything they might be taking.
Yeah, that's amazing. It sounds like all of your background and experience just comes together so well.
Yeah, it does. It really, that's what I love most about what I'm doing now, is I can pull everything together. I can pull the pharmacy experience, my holistic therapy experience, the being a herbalist, putting it all into one, and really kind of creating a solution for somebody. And that's what I do in my herbal consultations as well. But also I've got a subscription box coming out next month, which is also a tailor-made kind of solution for people as well, which includes the teas, but also includes other things as well.
Oh, I wanted to ask about this actually, because I've heard about your subscription boxes. So tell us more. So what does it include? What's it about? Yeah, tell us everything.
Right. So it's called Make Time for Me Time. And I created it because I realised I wasn't making time for me time. So my youngest is autistic. My eldest child has ADHD, and I have ME. And so it gets very challenging in our house with low moods, high moods, erratic moods, generally having teenagers as well to throw into the mix, which is always fun anyway for any parent having teenagers, without everything else going on as well. And it dawned on me that I was obviously, as a mother, we or even anyone as a woman generally, or anyone, we give so much that we forget to give to ourselves. So I wanted to create my own products, because I'm an aromatherapist. I can create aromatherapy blends as well. And so I wanted to create a box that gave people easy options on how to create time for themselves. And the box is split up into 3 sections, but it's not exactly you have to go through 3 sections. It's basically designed on however much time you have available. There is a product in the box that will accommodate that time. So if you only have a few minutes, like you just want to grab something and go, there's going to be like a rollerball blend, which you literally, it's got essential oils in it, and it will you just rub it on your wrists or your forehead, and then just breathe it in, and then the essential oils will help to calm you down or uplift you or energize you, depending on which oils are in that blend. And then if you have, say, 10 minutes to spare, you can make yourself a cup of tea. If you have 20 minutes to spare, you can light a candle, and there's going to be a Spotify playlist of various kind of meditation music or nature sounds. It's to give you permission to give yourself a moment to yourself. And then if you've got longer than that, then there's going to be bath teas or products for the bath, or a body lotion or body oil, or something where you can actually just take time to apply the lotion or the oil and really kind of connect to your body to give yourself that me time as well. But the most important part of the box is because every single box is completely tailor-made for that subscriber. So it will go by what your skin type is, if you have any allergies. Like I'm allergic to shea butter. So, and so many self-care boxes out there, there's amazing self-care boxes out there, but majority of them all use shea butter in their products. And I can't use anything with shea butter in it because it naturally contains latex, and I'm allergic to latex. So I can't use shea butter. So about 90% of products out there I can't use because I get allergic reaction to it. So I wanted to create something that, if I know what their allergies are, what their preferences are with essential oils or with herbs, because I've noticed myself even at farmers markets that as soon as somebody sees it's got chamomile in a blend, they go, "Oh no, I can't stand chamomile. It smells like old socks." And I don't see that going, I don't get that, but then I love chamomile, so maybe I'm not smelling it that way. So lots of people have an aversion to chamomile or valerian root or even lavender, and even rose as well. Some people don't like rose. And one person actually decided, they said they didn't like lemon balm, which I thought was very rare, but each their own. So because of my background knowledge of being in pharmacy and also being a holistic therapist for 20 odd years now, 25 years this year, so it's quite surprising you realise that, I can really tailor make the products exactly to your requirements. So I will look at if you have high blood pressure, I'll make sure not to use herbs or essential oils that can make that worse. Or if you have low blood pressure, I can make sure that the herbs and essential oils won't make it go lower. Or if you have even diabetes, because I know that, like, my mother has diabetes, and you can't take turmeric if you're diabetic, because it can actually interfere with the medication you take if you're diabetic. And so it's little things like that, is to actually create a box that is completely tailor-made to what smells you like, what tastes you like, what you want to put on your body, what you don't want to put in your body if you're allergic to them or have health conditions, but also to make it as easy as possible. So if you've only got 10 minutes, do this. If you've only got 20 minutes, do that. If you just literally only got time to just put a rollerball on your wrist or something, or just take a sniff of something. I wanted to make it time, making time for yourself to be something you can easily incorporate into your daily life, and not just feel like, oh, at the weekend I'll maybe have a bath for an hour, but then the rest of the week I won't have time to do anything because I'm too busy. But really, during the week is when you need that me time the most, because by the weekend you're shattered, or you're so stressed that you can't even relax properly at the weekend because you've had such a stressful week. So it's trying to educate people to do something every day, no matter how much time, even if you have to literally schedule in your diary, right? So I'm blocking out 30 minutes each day. That's my me time, even if it's like during my lunch break, or before I leave for work, or when I get back from work. It's 30 minutes, that's my time. I'm going to lock myself into the bathroom or in my bedroom. I'm going to put some music on. I'm going to, perhaps I'm just going to apply hand cream, and then just smell the oils in the hand cream. Or I'm going to sit here and I'm going to have a lovely shower, and I'm going to put some beautiful body oil all over me to kind of really nourish my skin, but also the essential oils, and it will really nourish my senses as well. So yeah, that's basically the idea behind the box. And I'm aware that it's obviously, for me, it's going to be a lot more work, because I'm purposefully looking at somebody's client intake form, because there's going to be like a questionnaire to fill out when you apply for the box, and really look at how I need to tweak things every month to accommodate everything they need. So I'm not going to have it open to a huge amount of people initially. I'm aiming to maybe sort of 20 to 30 boxes for the first month, and then to see how I go after that. But yeah, I think it's the looking after each other and looking after ourselves, and just having someone to make something personal for you is as part of the me time as well, as having that specially formulated product which somebody has taken time to create exactly for you. It's kind of like a nourishing, caring experience, knowing that, going, oh my God, they actually made this, and this is just for me, and nobody else in the world will have exactly the same as me, because it's purposely made for me, and it's something I can easily just pick up and go, or just around how much time I've got. So it's trying to help people to, because we all need help with just calming our nervous systems down at the moment in particular. And it's the education, and it's but making it as easy as possible, because we're all busy. And I know that myself, that I'll make a cup of tea, or sometimes I'll literally just take like flower essences just to calm myself down, that kind of thing, just little quick things, or a little perfume balm, or just rub onto my wrist or something. It's making time. That's kind of the key, is we have to start making time for our own self-care.
That's really exciting. And it does sound, like you say, it does sound like for you, like that's a load of work. But I think you're right. I think that'd be such a lovely thing for people to receive every month, especially because of all the sort of care and knowledge that you're going to put into it. Yeah, I think that's a really great idea. And we will make sure that we include a link to that in the show notes for this episode as well, so people can go and take a look at your teas and your subscription boxes and see yeah. And are you happy if people have questions about tea blends or which ones to take? Are you happy if?
Oh yes, yeah, definitely. On my I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I tend to check Instagram far more often than Facebook. I just find it easier to even try and get to the messages. But I also on my website, there is my email address is on the front page, or there is a contact page which I might need to update. But I'm more than happy for people to contact me with any questions they have about various tea blends, or if a tea blend would be right for them, or if I also do a personalized tea blending session for people. So I will create tea blends for people. There is a tea blending fee on top of the price of the tea as well, but only because I'm very often doing the taste testing to make sure it's something that, again, they will like to drink. But yeah, I do like a tailor-made tea blend sessions with people as well. which they can always just contact me and we can book that in. That's no problem at all.
Amazing. Well, when this goes out, I think you're going to get lots of questions about tea. I've certainly got some. I'm going to save for when we're not recording.
I only when I'm talking about herbs, so that's no problem at all.
Oh, good. So I have one more question for you, Kate, before we finish, which is, what would your number one piece of advice be for other product creators?
Okay, I was thinking about this when we were discussing about it before, and I think my number one is to join a community of other business owners, because I found that once I actually joined a group, either on Instagram or Facebook, my sales did increase because I had that support behind me of other people who understood exactly what I was going through, the trials and the stresses and the disappointments, and something doesn't go right, or your sales are a bit low and you feel like giving up. There's always somebody there going, don't give up. You set this business up because it's your dream. So don't give up. How can we help you? And there's always somebody there that can help with technical advice or with just a little bit of a pep talk. And that really is a huge thing. I think it's probably the thing that helped me the most, actually, in my business. I think if I hadn't had that support behind me, I probably would have given up probably a couple of years ago. I mean, friends and family are great, and they will support you, and they love you, and they were always going, oh, you're doing great, you're fine, keep going. But sometimes you need the constructive criticism as well. So I very often, in the group that I'm in, I will put a post up saying, okay, I want to do a new blog post. Can somebody read through it? Because I'm not sure if I'm overthinking this. Does it sound okay? Have I used this word too often or something? And I get really great feedback from people going, well, I really love it. However, you've got to be careful with like using that word because people might take it the wrong way. And it's great to get that feedback from other business owners who really we're all in the same boat, even though we've got completely different businesses. We all have the same sort of problems and things we're trying to achieve in our business. So I think that point, my number one, is to join a community, and it doesn't have to be on Facebook or Instagram. There are lots of other business groups out there. It's just going for one that you can easily afford. That's another thing. Is if you're paying a lot each month for the group and it's making you stressed because of the amount you're paying out, then it's perhaps best to go for one that you can more easily afford. Otherwise, you're going to be stressing over paying it rather than actually trying to get the benefit from it. But there are so many different groups out there these days, which are really supportive and really can help small business, especially right from the moment you decide to become a business. Even if you're a successful business, you still need that support, even if you're a successful business as well.
That's really good advice. Thank you. I completely agree. It's no fun doing it on, well, it can be fun, but it's more fun doing it with other people than doing it on your own.
Exactly. Yeah.
And as you said, there's so much to learn as well. Well, thank you so much, Kate, for everything you shared.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's just been an absolute pleasure being able to chat to you about this today.
It's been lovely and I've learned so much. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for listening right to the end of this episode. Do remember that you can get the full back catalogue and lots of free resources on my website, vickyweinberg.com. Please do remember to rate and review this episode if you've enjoyed it, and also share it with a friend who you think might find it useful. Thank you again and see you next week. If you've been inspired to start a podcast in 2024, I really recommend my podcast host, Captivate. Captivate were my top pick when I started podcasting 4 years ago because of how easy it was for a complete novice like me to get started. I've stuck with them for the last 4 years because Captivate is still really simple to use. They keep adding great new features like the ability to share ads like these, and they've just been really reliable. So when you're ready to start your own podcast, you can use the link in the show notes and get a free 7-day trial with Captivate.